Liz Claiborne has been working in this area of violence against women, or to end domestic violence, since 1991. And for the last 7 years, we've picked a day to focus everyone's attention on this issue. So from talk radio hosts around the country to politicians to celebrities to schools to whoever we can get on board with us, we spend the whole day talking about issues of violence against women and men, any aspect of domestic violence, sexual assault, relationship abuse, and we get experts, all sorts of people in to talk about the issue, because the idea is to break the silence. That if you can get people really talking about this issue, then the stigma that people feel and the resistance that they feel to come forward and tell someone that they need help, or the resistance that someone feels to reach out to somebody else and say, do you need help? That will end. And so that's our goal. Kind of Talk has grown so much over the last few years. It's unbelievable. Today, someone told me we're going to do 280 interviews between radio hosts, bloggers, television, YouTube, all sorts of interviews. And I mean, social media, all the different ways that we can get our message out has allowed this day to really blossom. I mean, we have people calling in from around the country. We have people coming in from around the country to participate. We did a great kickoff event last night with Verizon showing this amazing documentary called Telling Amy's Story. These are all brand new ways that we're getting our message out, and every year it gets bigger. Last year we had participation from Washington. This year we're having more participation from Washington, and I mean by the Obama administration. It is just remarkable to me how this little dream, this little notion of picking a day, everyone takes a month and they say, oh, this is our month. But we're going to pick just this little day so that we can really concentrate the efforts of Liz Claiborne, of Verizon, of all of our partners, of all the corporate partners, of all the advocate partners, everyone we can think of. So really spend one big day getting our message out. The biggest goal of our day is to get people to talk about this issue, is to get people to allow it to come forward, to come out of the darkness and into the light, to say, for a victim to say, I need help, for someone to feel that they can reach out to somebody else and say, I can give you help, to schools to realize that they need to start to teach their kids, whether they're in middle school, high school, college, about what healthy relationships are, what they're not, what one can expect in a healthy relationship, what to look for, what are the warning signs. Like, there's so many aspects of this. We just want people talking and starting to bring forth all the education and all the possibilities for healing and helping that are out there, but are really hidden behind this wall, this stigma of, I'm afraid to talk about this issue because if I do, you're going to see me as weak or somehow impaired, or I'm not in control of my own life. And people don't. The other thing is that people don't really understand what domestic violence is or what relationship violence is. It's about power and control. It's about one person exerting power and control over another. Generally speaking, that's what it's about. We really want people to understand the complexities of the issue and allow their friends, their family, their kids, we want parents to talk to their kids. We just want people everywhere just shouting out about it so that everyone can feel like they can come forward if they need help. I have been involved in this issue for the last 15 years. The company's been involved for nearly 20. And basically, we wanted to give back to the community. We wanted to give back to women and families who have made us successful over the years. And we looked at a lot of different issues. And this one always resonated with consumers generally, with our consumers. And we asked them in particular, remember this is in 1991, pre-O.J. Simpson, all of the awareness that's happened now. We asked them, how would you feel about a company that took this issue on? Would you feel negatively about it? And they said no. And it gave us the permission we needed to take this issue and make it safe. I mean, that was really our thought. Like, if we will talk about it, and people have such trust in Liz Claiborne and the brand and the company, and they know that if we talk about it, it's safe for them to talk about, that was really what our goal was initially. It was generating awareness, and now it's evolved into a whole education and prevention program, and that's what we're doing. I think we're actually potentially at a turning point for this issue. We have, especially over the last 5 years or so had a number of kind of things that we can point to and say, this is a good thing that's happened. We did a bunch of research on teen dating abuse to see the prevalence. And when we realized what was happening, we realized that kids were having these issues and they were going to each other. They weren't going to their parents, they weren't going to a coach, they weren't going to other trusted adults, they're going to each other. So we said, what can we do? We said, okay, we'll make a curriculum and we'll get it. And now we're working to get this curriculum taught in all middle schools and high schools around the country so that people can understand, again, what a healthy relationship is, what a warning sign is, what to look for and how to help a friend. Because if you teach a class of kids, you're teaching potentially a victim, an abuser, and a bystander. You don't know who's in the classroom. So we did that. Then we said, okay, but if you're going to teach this curriculum and you're going to start to bring these issues out, you need to make sure there's help. And a lot of communities have, almost every community has some sort of domestic violence resource, and a lot of them have teen resources, but not everyone did. And there's a big difference between someone who's a couple that's married and a couple that's, a teenager dating. They may not have the financial issues, they may not have a child in common, they don't necessarily live together. There's a lot of differences going on. And no kid is going to identify themselves as a victim of domestic violence. That's just not how they see themselves. So we worked with the National Hotline, and we gave the seed money to create the loveisrespect.org, which is the National Teen Dating Abuse Helpline. So that was really exciting, and it's really growing and growing and growing. You have peer advocates so that kids can reach out to their own and talk to each other. Obviously, they're trained. And there's a lot that happens online. There's a lot that happens, on the phones, live chats, and we really want to be where the kids are. So that was exciting. Just this past year, we added to the Love is Not Abuse curriculum that we launched a few years ago. We put in a digital dating abuse piece because, as we all know, social media has exploded, but it also has added a new complexity to a very complex issue. And so we wanted to address it with kids. And one of the things that we found, one of the most interesting things we found, is that when you talk about the consequences, when kids understand what the consequence of sexting could be or of digital abuse could be, such as sending a naked picture or possessing a naked picture of someone who's underage, it's considered child pornography, and they could be labeled a sex offender for the rest of their lives, they were like, oh, light bulb, and so they start to realize what consequences are and what it means and what to look for and how people perpetrate digital abuse in a relationship. And it's been amazing, the reaction that we've gotten. And then just today, we're launching a version for colleges. Yardley Love was tragically murdered this past spring. We reached out to universities and colleges around the country. A lot of them reached back, and we realized that there's not kind of one curriculum for colleges. And so we worked with a bunch of educators and advisors and counselors, and we put together basically a 3-lesson, but it's a 3 freestanding college curriculum that we are launching today and hoping, and all of our stuff is free of charge for anybody who's interested. The best thing that anybody can do, first of all, is just talk about the issue. Learn one thing from this interview, from any other thing that you've read, and share it with somebody. The other thing that we really want people to do is we have the Love is Not Abuse Coalition. And I said we're trying to get laws passed in many states. When we started a couple years ago, 2 years ago, it was 2 states had laws. Now 13 states have policies that are starting to mandate education on this issue in all middle and high schools. We would love people to get on to join our coalition. It doesn't mean you have to go to Washington. It doesn't mean you have to write your senator. It just means that maybe it's writing a letter to your school saying, hey, I think this is important. Maybe it's just a matter of I'm part of this coalition and having a conversation with your kid. It's really important for parents to have these conversations with their kids. And maybe you're not a parent of a teen, but you must know a teen. So whether you're an aunt or a godfather or a godmother or some other, a grandmother or just a friend, to start to have these conversations with the kids or with the parents of these kids and check in and keep their relationship open so that if a kid is having trouble, they know they can come to you and that you can help them and not judge.